All right, everyone, get ready. Because today we are going deep, deep into the world of electric vehicles.
EVs,
EVs, you got it.
as the cool kids call them.
That's right, got to stay hip.
But we're going even deeper than that.
Yeah, we got to be specific.
Specifically, battery electric vehicles.
That's right, EVs.
The ones that run purely on electricity.
Yeah, you hear a lot about electric vehicles, but these are the real deal.
No gas.
No gas, just batteries and electrons and all that good stuff. But you've been hearing a lot about EVs lately.
A lot of hype.
And we're going beyond the hype.
Cutting through it.
That's right. Are they really as good as everyone says?
What are the advantages? What are the disadvantages?
What's holding them back?
We're going to try to answer all those questions today.
We're going to answer all those questions, and to do that, we've got 3 articles from xengineer.org. Benefits of electric vehicles. What is a battery electric vehicle? BEV. And
why electric vehicles EV are better.
so we're going to sift through all of these and bring you the best info.
Let's dive in.
All right, so let's start with the shiny stuff. These articles highlight some pretty incredible advantages of EVs. One that really jumped out at me,
Caught your eye.
caught my eye for sure, is efficiency. We're talking 3 times more efficient than a gas engine.
Wow.
Have you ever thought about how much money you could save on gas if your car was that efficient?
Yeah, I mean, it's not just saving a few bucks at the pump.
Right.
That increased efficiency translates to lower running costs overall and less dependence on those fossil fuels.
Right.
It's a big step towards
It's a sustainable...
sustainable transport system.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's the instant torque. Forget waiting for the engine to rev up. EVs have max power from the get-go.
0 to 60.
And I've heard it's a wild ride. You know, what's it like driving an EV?
It's definitely different. Electric motors deliver their peak torque right from 0 RPM, unlike those combustion engines.
Okay.
So you get this incredible responsiveness.
Oh, wow.
A really smooth acceleration. It definitely takes some getting used to.
So it's not just hype. There's some real substance to these advantages.
Definitely.
The articles also mention EVs have fewer moving parts,
Less to break down.
which means, yeah, less maintenance, right?
Yeah, that simpler design, it means higher reliability.
Okay.
And there's also regenerative braking.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
When you brake in an EV, that electric motor acts as a generator, puts energy back into the battery.
Oh, wow.
It's actually quite ingenious.
That's pretty slick. Okay, so we got efficiency, power, reliability.
Sounds pretty good so far.
It sounds pretty good, but as we all know, there's always a catch.
With EVs, that catches the battery.
The battery. All right, yeah, the articles dive into the limitations of current battery technology, and it's definitely a reality check.
That's a bummer.
Yeah. Energy density is a big one, right?
Yeah, energy density.
For the same amount of energy, a battery is much bigger and heavier than a gas tank.
That's the problem.
How does that impact the driving range?
That's the core issue. Battery technology is the main thing holding back widespread EV adoption. We're making progress.
Right.
But we're not at the point where a battery can store the same amount of energy as a gas tank in the same, compact form.
Package.
And this feeds into that range anxiety that people talk about.
Oh, right.
Worry about running out of charge on the road.
Yeah, I could see how that would be a concern.
Yeah.
What about recharge time? Filling up a gas tank takes just a couple minutes.
Yeah.
I've heard charging an EV battery can take hours.
It can. Yeah, it can take a while depending on the charging method.
Yeah?
Fast charging options are more common now,
Right.
but they're still not as quick as a gas station fill-up.
Right.
Researchers are working on solutions to shorten those charging times,
Okay.
but a full recharge in minutes, still a ways off.
So the battery is the major hurdle for EVs right now.
Pretty much.
But the articles also mention some other interesting aspects. Torque vectoring, for example.
What's that?
Yeah, what is that? It sounds pretty futuristic to me.
It is pretty cool. Torque vectoring allows you to precisely control the power sent to each wheel,
Oh, wow.
which results in really smooth handling and better stability, particularly in those tricky driving conditions.
Like ice.
Like ice, exactly.
Or snow.
It's not just about performance, though. It
Yeah.
also improves safety.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's like having a super smart car that knows exactly what to do in any situation.
Exactly. Yeah. Very smart car.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And speaking of futuristic, what about self-driving cars? I know EVs are seen as a natural fit for autonomous vehicles, especially with the possibility of wireless charging.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of potential there.
Yeah.
Imagine a car that drives itself to a wireless charging station,
Oh.
tops up the battery, and comes back to you, all without you having to do a thing.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's a compelling vision of the future, isn't it?
It sounds incredible. But before we get too carried away with the future, what about the environmental impact? I mean, EVs themselves don't have any emissions,
Right, right.
but there's more to the story than just that, right?
You got to think about where the electricity comes from.
Right.
If it's generated from fossil fuels, then you're just shifting the pollution from the tailpipe to the power plant.
Right.
To get the full environmental benefits of EVs, we got to make sure they're running on those renewable energy sources.
So the source of the electricity really matters. It's not just about the car itself. It's about the entire energy system.
The whole system.
Yeah. Now, speaking of the big picture, what does the future hold for EVs? The articles make some pretty bold predictions.
Some big claims.
Yeah, big claims. One of the most anticipated milestones is that tipping point.
When they take over.
Yeah, when EVs become truly cost competitive with gas-powered cars.
When they become cheaper.
Some experts believe that could happen
Assume.
within the next few years as battery prices drop
Right.
and government incentives come into play.
Tax breaks.
Yeah, exactly.
Subsidies.
And they also mentioned a huge surge in global EV sales predicted for the coming years,
Everyone's going to be driving one.
with China leading the charge, pun intended.
Nice.
It sounds like the world is gearing up to embrace this electric revolution.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of momentum.
Yeah, there's a lot of momentum. But we can't ignore the challenges that still exist.
Of course not.
We need continued investment in battery technology, a robust charging infrastructure,
And sustainable energy.
a transition to sustainable energy production to support this massive shift to electric mobility.
Yeah, there's a lot of work to be done.
It's a complex picture,
For sure.
but a fascinating one.
Absolutely.
We've got a lot more to unpack about the future of EVs.
There's more.
Oh, yeah. But we're going to take a quick pause here. When we come back, we'll delve into the potential impact of this electric shift on our cities, our jobs,
Their lives.
our lives. Stay tuned.
Welcome back.
All right, we're back.
Yep.
I'm curious,
Yeah.
did anything in particular stand out to you from our last discussion?
Oh, so many things. Where do I even begin?
Yeah.
The efficiency, the torque,
The toy.
the regenerative braking.
Oh, the regenerative braking.
That one really got me thinking.
Yeah, it blew my mind too. It's
Okay.
like, who wouldn't want a little energy boost
Every time you hit the brakes.
every time you hit the brakes?
It's genius.
But it made me wonder,
Yeah.
are there any downsides to this technology?
Downsides.
Yeah.
Not really.
Does it put extra wear and tear on the brakes or?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Actually, regenerative braking systems typically reduce wear and tear on traditional friction brakes.
Really?
Yeah, because they're doing most of the work.
Huh.
It's another win-win.
Another win for the EVs.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's shift gears a bit here.
Okay, where are we going?
Let's talk about the bigger picture.
The big picture.
We were just discussing those bold predictions about the future of EVs.
Right, the tipping point.
What are your thoughts on the potential impact on the automotive industry? I mean, if
Yeah.
EVs really do become this dominant force, what happens to all the other car manufacturers, the ones who built their empires on gas-powered cars?
Yeah, that's a good question.
What happens to them?
It's a pivotal moment, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Some manufacturers are embracing the change. They're investing heavily in EV development and production.
Right.
Others, they're taking a more cautious approach.
Oh, really?
Maybe hoping it's a fad, the EV wave will pass.
Right.
But I think the writing's on the wall.
Yeah.
As battery technology improves and those production costs decrease, EVs are going to become the more affordable option,
And appealing.
the more appealing option. Those who fail to adapt
They get left behind.
risk being left behind. Exactly.
It's a classic case of redisrupted, right?
Absolutely.
But it's not just about the cars themselves, is it?
No, it's not.
There's a whole ecosystem built around the fossil fuel industry, from extraction and refining to transportation and distribution.
Millions of jobs.
What happens to all those jobs if we transition to a world powered by electricity?
Yeah, it's a crucial question.
Yeah.
It underscores the importance of a just and equitable transition.
Yeah.
While this shift to EVs will undoubtedly create new jobs in areas like battery production, charging infrastructure, software development, we need to be mindful of that potential job displacement in the sectors tied to fossil fuels.
Right.
It's not just about creating new jobs, it's about ensuring that workers in those affected industries, they have the training and opportunities to transition to those new roles.
So true.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that these technological advancements always have these ripple effects throughout society.
You may change everything.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not just about the tech itself.
Okay, so speaking of which, let's zoom in on the potential impact on our cities.
Cities. Okay.
I imagine a world with EVs could be a much quieter and cleaner urban environment.
quieter.
Yeah, no more roaring engines.
Oh, the peace and quiet.
Yeah, smelly exhaust fumes.
Clean air to breathe.
Yeah, exactly.
Widespread EV adoption would drastically reduce noise pollution in cities.
It's true.
Imagine streets just filled with the near-silent hum of electric motors,
Instead
of that constant drone of those combustion engines.
Yeah, it makes such a huge difference to our overall well-being.
It would be amazing.
And then, of course, there's the air quality.
Huge impact there.
Less tailpipe emissions means cleaner air to breathe, which is especially important in those densely populated areas.
Where people live.
Yeah, where pollution is a major concern. It seems like a win-win for everyone.
Sounds pretty good. Are there any downsides?
Yeah, are there any potential downsides to consider?
Well, one challenge is making sure we have the infrastructure to support a large-scale transition to EVs.
Infrastructure, right?
Enough charging stations,
Right.
convenient locations,
Right.
upgrading our power grids to handle that increased demand.
The increased demand for electricity.
It's a significant undertaking.
It's going to take some work, yeah.
Yeah, it requires careful planning and investment.
So we can't just expect everyone to magically switch to EVs overnight.
No magic wand here.
No magic wand. Okay. But if we can overcome these hurdles,
The benefits are immense.
the benefits seem immense. Okay, so we've talked about the potential impact on the automotive industry, jobs, the environment, and our cities.
It's a lot.
What about our everyday lives?
Our lives.
How will this electric shift change the way we drive and interact with our vehicles?
Well, for starters, the way we fuel our cars will change
Oh, so...
drastically.
Okay.
Instead of quick stops at gas stations, we'll be plugging in at home overnight,
Oh,
stopping up at charging stations while we run errands.
right. So it's like charging your phone.
Exactly.
Right.
Imagine a world where you never have to deal with that smell of gasoline again.
That is pretty appealing.
I know, right?
It's amazing to think how something as mundane as refueling,
Refueling.
yeah, could have such a significant impact on our daily routine.
Yeah, it'll change things.
Yeah. But what about the driving experience itself?
Driving. Yeah.
Is it really that different from driving a gas-powered car?
It is. It is
Ah,
the
yeah.
instant torque,
Yeah.
smooth acceleration of EVs.
Yeah.
It's a unique and exhilarating driving experience.
Right.
Features like regenerative braking and torque vectoring add this level of control and responsiveness
That you don't get with a...
you just don't get with traditional cars.
You're becoming quite the EV enthusiast.
Maybe a little bit.
But I get it. It makes sense.
It's not just about being eco-friendly. It's about enjoying the ride.
Enjoying the ride.
Exactly.
It's incredible to think about all these ripple effects this electric shift could have on our lives, from the way we commute to the design of our cities.
It's a big change.
We've covered so much ground already.
A lot of ground.
I feel like we've only just scratched the surface of this electrifying topic.
There's always more to explore.
There's always more, yeah. And that's what makes this deep dive so fascinating, right?
Absolutely.
It's not about having all the answers. It's about asking the right questions.
Yeah.
And grappling with the complexities of this electric future.
That's what we're all about.
Well said. Now, before we get too carried away with all these possibilities, let's take a moment to recharge our own mental batteries.
Okay. Sounds good.
When we come back, we'll wrap up our exploration of electric vehicles and leave you with some final food for thought.
Looking forward to it.
Stay tuned. Welcome back, listeners. We're fully recharged and ready to hit the road for the final stretch of our EV journey.
It's been quite a trip so far, hasn't it?
It really has. We've gone from the nuts and bolts of batteries to the far-reaching impact on the automotive industry, jobs, the environment, and even our cities.
We've covered a lot of ground.
But, as with any deep dive, I feel like we've only just dipped our toes into this vast ocean of information.
There's always more to explore.
Always more. So what do you say we take one last plunge before we wrap things up?
I'm game. Where do you want to go?
Well, we've talked extensively about the technology, the infrastructure, the economics, but I think there's one crucial factor we haven't addressed fully.
What's that?
Human behavior.
Ah, yes. The human element.
Exactly. We can build all the high-tech EVs and blanket the country with charging stations.
Yeah.
But if people aren't on board, it won't matter much, will it?
Absolutely. There are psychological barriers to consider.
Such as?
Well, some people are hesitant to give up the familiarity of gas-powered cars. You know, the perceived freedom of filling up quickly at a gas station, the sound of a roaring engine.
The smell of gasoline.
Even that. It's a sensory experience for some people.
Yeah, I get it. Change can be hard.
It can. And then there's that fear of running out of charge, range anxiety as it's called. That's a big one for many people.
Right, especially if you're used to long road trips.
Exactly. And even something as simple as the perceived inconvenience of charging can be a deterrent.
So how do we overcome these hurdles? How do we convince people to embrace this electric future?
Well, I think it's a matter of education and exposure. As more and more people get behind the wheel of an EV, experience the smooth acceleration, the quiet ride, the lower running costs, perceptions will begin to change.
It's like the early days of the internet or smartphones. There was resistance at first, but once people saw the benefits firsthand, there was no turning back.
Exactly. The same thing could happen with EVs. Word of mouth and personal experiences can be powerful drivers of adoption.
So true. And what about governments? What role can they play in accelerating this transition?
Oh, they have a crucial role to play. Through regulations, tax breaks, subsidies, investments in charging infrastructure, governments can create a more favorable environment for EV adoption.
It's about making EVs more affordable and accessible,
Exactly. Nudging people in the right direction.
giving that electric revolution a little extra push.
Exactly.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground today, explored the ins and outs of electric vehicles, but as we bring this deep dive to a close, what key takeaways would you like to leave our listeners with?
I think the most important takeaway is that EVs are here to stay. They represent a fundamental shift in transportation, and they have the potential to reshape our world in profound ways.
It's not just a passing fad. And while battery technology is still a challenge, we're seeing incredible advancements being made all the time.
Advancements that are bringing us closer to that tipping point when EVs become the more economical choice.
Right, and as we've discussed, the implications of this shift extend far beyond the cars themselves.
Absolutely. It's about the environment, our cities, our jobs, our energy systems, and ultimately our way of life.
It's a whole new world waiting to be explored.
And that's where you, the listener, come in. We've given you a glimpse into the world of EVs, but now it's up to you to delve deeper, to ask your own questions, to form your own conclusions.
So, as we power down this episode, we leave you with this final thought to ponder. What role will electric vehicles play in your future? Will you be an early adopter, a cautious observer, or a latecomer to this electric revolution? The choice is yours, but one thing's for sure, the future is electric. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.